With that, we bring in Ric Bucher. I don't know where he spends his money. It's probably on suits. Look at him. He is well appointed, sharply dressed, as always, my friend. Look at you.
Thank you. Thank you, Colin. Yeah, I don't know that spending money on suits this day and age is the right way to go. It's like spending money on your garage.
Yeah. I think you look very nice.
It's a guy thing. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's start with this. The Lakers... Disastrous season. Nick Wright just said something 30 minutes ago. You have to go back like 20, 25 years. The teams that were either favored or co-favored to win the championship all made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Lakers are the first one in 25 years. Didn't make the play-in game.
Have you checked on Nick, by the way? Is he okay?
Barely.
Because winter is coming. It's not only now, but for the next couple of years. We need to keep an eye on him.
Your takeaway this morning on the Lakers season?
It has tarnished the brand as much as any year that I've ever seen. Number one, because they didn't make the playoffs. I mean, even in the 11-12, when we had Steve Nash and Dwight Howard and Kobe and that whole Pau Gasol, that whole group, yeah, they disappointed and injuries undercut them, but they still made the postseason. What they have done with this team is that they have undermined the LA Hollywood metric, which is the belief in stars. Remember the movie Gigli?
Yeah, it was a disaster.
It was an absolute disaster. And the reason that it was so venomously hated was not just that it was a bad movie, because we get a lot of bad movies.
Right.
It was that it had Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez, Al Pacino, Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
It had stars, and it was bad.
Yeah.
And you do that in L.A., you are defying what the formula is that everybody believes in terms of success. So when you have 4 all-time greats on your roster, and should have been 5 with Dwight Howard, and you can't even make the postseason.
The play-in game.
The play-in game. You're doing more than just having a bad season. You're undermining what L.A. believes it's all about.
I think you could have Ty Lue and Eric Spoelstra be co-coaches and couldn't win with this mess.
No.
What's the solution there?
I wouldn't. What you need more than anything, other than you need a roster change. I wouldn't wish this team on any coach. There is no coach available, and I'm not sure there's a coach alive.
I don't think so.
Steve Kerr couldn't come in here and change this. The one thing I will say is I've seen Mark Jackson change a culture. I was there firsthand when he took the Warriors, who had been bad for years, not a playoff team, didn't understand what it took to play winning basketball. That's where the Lakers are right now. So they need a roster change, and they need a coach who will come in and change the entire culture and approach. But to be able to do that, you need the players that are going to buy in. And this was my concern from the very beginning, was that Frank Vogel wasn't going to be able to ride roughshod on Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis and LeBron James and Dwight Howard. He wasn't accomplished enough. He didn't have the personality to do it. But again, I don't know that anybody does. These are accomplished guys. And to get them to make the sacrifices necessary to win is you have to be a special multi-champion winning type coach to even begin to think you can do that.
Yeah, you can move Westbrook because in the NBA, I'll throw this theory at you, and let's go back and forth on this. So the NBA has been paralyzed for years, forever, about competitive balance. It doesn't exist. The Celtics and Lakers have 34 titles. 6 teams don't have one. They're paralyzed by it. They're paralyzed by tanking. People that want to tank are. Get over it.
Right.
So the biggest leagues in Europe, I mean, La Liga, English Premier League, 2 teams dominate, maybe 3. F1 racing now is exploding. 2 teams have won the last 12 championships. Baseball, Yankees, 27 titles, Mariners, none. It doesn't exist. College football, tennis, it doesn't exist anywhere. The league is paralyzed by it. But competitive balance, and I would argue now, there was a time in the 70s, 80s, 90s, if a Ewing or a Duncan went to a franchise, an adult, a man, a 24-year-old, it could alter the course of basketball history. You're getting a 19-year-old now. Okay, forget altering history. They'll barely alter your record.
Right.
Now's a time to not worry about tanking and drafting. The kids you're getting,
correct.
They're just the NBA is a progressive league. The reason the NFL is pulling away is hope. The NBA makes it virtually impossible to fix a Laker roster. You are trapped. I think it's I think hope is a powerful drug.
For sure.
And the NFL, I want to watch Jacksonville next year. Coach free agents.
Right.
I live in LA. I'm not sure I can stomach the Lakers for the next 3 years.
Yep.
What do you make of, as much as we both like the NBA, and I watched it last night and I watch it every night, they make it really hard to trade. Do you see, and you're really good at this, give me a best case scenario for the Lakers and the Westbrook contract. I mean, you're going to move it. Is there a best case scenario?
No, getting off of the contract is the best case scenario.
But then I have to take 2 other bad contracts.
Yeah, you're going to have to take. You just want short-term contracts. I mean, that's what you're hoping to. You're just trying to get out from under. You're salvaging at this point. You're not improving.
Thank you.
That's the whole deal. Now, this has, the NBA has found itself in this place because they accommodated the stars. And the stars, and this is the dirty little secret when it comes to the Players Association and how they negotiated. Everybody was all excited because Chris Paul and LeBron James and all the stars got involved. Well, they skewed the system for the stars. The stars now get 25% of the salary cap. They get all the money. Well, if that star falls off, and it happened to be negotiated by older stars, so we got stars in their mid to late 30s negotiating a salary cap that benefits the older stars. Right? They got themselves paid.
Yeah.
But they're now getting paid at a point in their careers where they can't justify that money. And so now they all have these big, hefty contracts, and you can't move them.
By the way, think about this. KD and LeBron may not make the real playoffs.
Yeah.
On any given night, top 2 or 3 players in the league. You gave these guys power and money, and sometimes it is to your detriment.
Throw Kawhi Leonard in there, too. I mean, he did the same thing in terms of the Clippers.
Power, movement.
Leverage, this is the team I want. This is how I'm going to build it. And that's where I wonder, and it's going to come down to the owners. The owners are the ones who are going to decide. Do we want to take back the control and give it to our GMs and allow them to build teams? Or are we still going to star chase? Because you get the immediate dividends of corporate, financing, season tickets, all of that stuff. But at what expense to the success of your team on the floor?
Yeah, I love the NBA. I think it's way more broken than people think. I think the NFL's always been able to quickly pivot off rule changes.
They're going to fix it, though. I guarantee you that all of this players missing games and all of that is going to change in the next collective bargaining agreement. Yeah. I assure you it's going to happen.
It's amazing how we've normalized 6 stars a night out.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We're about ready to go in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think Phoenix is by far and away the best team I've seen. I'm not really sure a beat-up Golden State matches. I actually think the Clippers would be a pain in the butt. Wouldn't beat them, but would be a pain in the butt. So let's just say the Suns are the best team in the West. They've proven it. The construct of the team, as long as Chris Paul's healthy, that is a handful. They don't have any weaknesses. They got a great defender on the wing. McHale, they got a good big, they got a great guard, they got a classic 2, they got a good bench, they have a great chemistry.
Yep, and they have hunger.
Absolutely.
They got there, they had the experience of getting there, but everybody is discounting. I mean, Anthony Davis, like, if they had made the play-in, the worst thing he could have said was, yeah, we know we would have beaten them. They know we would have beaten them last year. I'm like, dude, if you ever thought that Phoenix might sleepwalk on you a little bit and give you a shot if you happen to get in and face them, you just erase that because the Phoenix has already been carrying a grudge from last year.
So in the East, though, it's very interesting. I do not see Miami or Chicago. Chicago is just not. They got injuries now. I just don't think they're good enough. They don't beat the top teams. Chicago's fun regular season story. Miami, nice bench, won't matter. I don't think Jimmy Butler's a great closer. I think he's a great athlete.
Right.
I don't think that wins in the playoffs. So it comes down to Milwaukee, top to bottom. I mean, Middleton's become more dependable. Giannis is the most valuable guy. Then you have Brooklyn, really, really star-powery, horrible defensively. and Philadelphia, where Harden now has had a 2-week stretch where he's a mess.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's my 3 are Milwaukee 1, Philly 2, and Brooklyn. Keep your eye on them. A couple snipers out there. I wouldn't want to play. You're looking at me like I'm.
No.
So what do you make of Brooklyn?
No, I'm thinking that you've been reading my mail, or you're talking to the same scouts and executives that I am, because that's exactly what they have said. They're not believing in Miami. They think if Brooklyn gets in through the play-in and faces Miami, that's not something Miami wants.
No, I think Brooklyn
in the
beats
first round. Yeah, I mean.
Okay, how about this? Brooklyn played the Celtics. I'd take Brooklyn.
It just depends on which Boston team shows up. But the Miami and Boston, and I just wrote a piece for FoxSports.com. You should check it out. Okay. That was the scouts' reaction, was Miami and Boston right now technically are the first and second seed. They don't believe in them as much as they do Milwaukee and Philadelphia. And they think Brooklyn is dangerous. They also think Toronto is dangerous. You don't want to get matched up against Toronto.
So let's talk about this. I was very much on the Sixers side with James Harden. Came in, flourished early. He's in a funk. What's happened to Harden? He's flaky.
It's also, I mean, you always have the honeymoon when you first come in.
Did he discover all the strip clubs in Philly? Well,
no,
seriously,
not that honeymoon. Just trying to make it work with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is, again, Harden is used to having the ball in his hands. So when things get difficult, what does he do? It's not, I'm not gonna move off the ball. I'm not going to, I need the ball in my hands. Well, that's not going to work on a consistent basis with the Sixers. At the best, you're going to have to mix and match with Joel Embiid. And this was the question from the very beginning was, can you integrate Joel Embiid's game with James Harden's game? And I don't believe that you can any more than you can integrate Kyrie and KD's game. And this is the secret sauce for the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes. And we've seen it. Drew Holiday and Giannis, they complement each other. Yeah. They can both be threats on the same possession. Throw Chris Middleton in, you can still make it all work. You can't with those other guys. So you have the star power, you have the go-to guys, but they can't. It's still, we're going to take a number. It's your turn, my turn.
You know what I really like about Milwaukee and Phoenix? Is for all this mobility and big market nonsense. I watched Milwaukee play. It was last night against the Bulls. I watched the first half. Milwaukee and Phoenix feel old school to me. Loyal players. Everybody's got kind of a role. This is what you do. Mikhail, you're our best wing defender. Yeah. Devin, you're the classic 2-scoring guard. Chris, we don't need points, distribution, toughness, leadership. Milwaukee and Phoenix feel really old school to me. I love watching Milwaukee play now. I love watching Phoenix play.
So who runs those organizations? The GMs run those organizations. They built those rosters. They made the decisions. And you have old school leaders on that team. Chris Paul can be a handful.
Yeah, but
Chris
I love Chris.
But Chris Paul has an old school mentality.
Oh, completely.
Giannis has an old school mentality. And anytime I get guys like Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton or just about anybody who says, yeah, I want to go to Milwaukee to play, I know why they're there. They're there to play basketball. They're not there for anything else. And that's not always the case, and certainly wasn't the case with these Lakers.
By the way, let's circle back to the Lakers. You live in the Bay Area. Joe Montana's, every area of the country, it's probably a Joe Montana, Barry Bonds region. And L.A., Magic's the biggest star by a mile. Miami's Marino, D. Wade. Chicago's Jordan. Every city has Aikman, Staubach, and Dallas, whatever. This is a Magic town. I mean, he comes into Staples, and if you're in the arena, the crowd rises. All these years later. He hammers LeBron. He had all that information for 6 months. Why'd he deliver it Monday? Did you like what he said?
You're asking me to explain why Magic says what he says. And Magic says a lot of things, and they don't, it just occurred to him at the time.
Okay.
Honestly, because I don't see any other way. There's been so much fodder out there about the decisions made by the Lakers and who has made those decisions by the Lakers. But I'm supposed to give you a definitive answer on this.
Okay, let me ask you.
This is one I can't.
Okay.
I don't understand the timing of the timing. I would say the timing is bad.
Okay. I got a lot of heat yesterday from a group of people was he wrong? Because DeRozan said, I was done dirty by the Lakers.
Yeah.
Buddy Hield deal, a source I trust in the NBA said, is done.
Yeah. No. I was told the same thing.
So Magic wasn't wrong, was he?
No.
Okay. So there's a lot of pushback that LeBron did not say, get me Westbrook.
No, look, can we just stop that? Can we stop with the trying to give cover for LeBron James and his authority and ability? I mean, just wear it, okay? And I said at the time, I understand why you're doing it. This is the heart of it, is that they found out, and LeBron found out, that Anthony Davis is not the guy. They found that out a year ago. And rather than moving Anthony Davis, they tried to find somebody to come in and change Anthony Davis.
This is a great, by the way, you won't hear this on other shows. This is a great point. So I was told that when after the bubble championship, Anthony Davis came back out of shape.
Yep.
LeBron was like,
yeah,
not the right guy.
Yeah.
This guy is not committed. So you were told the same thing.
Yes.
So in-house, LeBron was totally discouraged.
The
Lakers
Lakers,
they could solve AD.
Not just LeBron. The Lakers all know this. I'm really disappointed when Frank Vogel comes out and says Anthony Davis is doing everything he can to get back. The criticism I've heard over and over and over again from inside the Lakers organization is that AD is not a worker. Does not work hard. And then when you get injured all the time, that raises the question, is it because you're injury prone or because you're not doing everything to get your body in
By the way,
premier shape?
Zion, take care of your diet. That's why you're hurt. By the way, a lot of these guys that are hurt, LeBron and Tom Brady, it's not a coincidence. They're literally, LeBron didn't have an injury till year 17. He's obsessed with his body. Russell Wilson's had an injured finger. He runs around, never gets hurt. Like your body, how you treat your body is how your body will treat you. I've been hearing this for years on AD. He's not committed to strength training. He shows up to seasons playing himself in shape. Now, some of the injuries are he slashes, he's big.
Sure.
It's a long way to the floor.
Sure.
Porzingis is built to be injured.
But you just don't know. Like, you leave the question out there. Is this because your body is compromised or that you're not doing everything you can?
You solved the riddle. Is that they were totally discouraged on AD instead of shipping him.
And they tried to patch around him rather than move him out.
They said, we'll solve AD with Westbrook instead of just moving him.
Yeah.
Look at that. See, that suit was worth that commentary. That well-appointed suit. All right. Ric Bucher, it is great seeing you.
Good to see you, Colin.